Hi, my name is Wale Kunayo, and I will be taking questions on this particular episode on Mailbox. The first question speaks to about a woman who is from Mumbai, India, and in a long-distance relationship with a man from Berlin, Germany. Our relationship blossomed when he came to India on a work assignment. After 1 year, he had to return. We are managing things online, but it's emotionally exhausting. Relationships typically it's a lot of work, clearly, right? And the same work that you put in while you were together must also be put in the online version, so to speak, if I may use that word. So one of the things you will try to do, and it's both parties that must be fully engaged in it. Most times men think they don't talk, but they do talk. I mean, if you leave a man with a football enthusiast, right, amongst his friends, you will see a totally different man in general. So you've got to find commonalities, so to speak, in the things that both of you like. I mean, people play chess online today. There's so many things that you guys like, movies that you watch together. You could even have dinner together, right? But in different time zones, right? Those things make it a lot more interesting and less emotionally exhausting. So if you carry one another along I'm sure the time zones are quite different as well, but you can actually meet up at different. I've seen so many people who would have picnics together, right? And they're in different time zone, but the whole idea behind it is that you're sharing your life together, every day-to-day activity from morning till evening, even if it's a different time zone. It's quite interesting. One of the other things you can do, really, and to make it more interesting, is to journal your lives. So these are the things that happened to me today. Talk about the fact that you miss the person. Imagine their responses when you are faced with a certain situation, all right? And so you begin to talk about those things in details. When you do all those things, it would feel as though they are there, but they are not physically present. So as much as possible, every relationship, as far as life is concerned, is a lot of work, whether you're present or absent, so to speak, in this particular case. So what you then try to do is to ensure that their lives are together. So make a note of things that you want to tell them when you get the opportunity to tell them those things. On special days, Sundays and all of that, if you, for instance, have a faith or you're a Muslim or whatever the case is, ensure you're sharing your journey with them on a consistent basis. And that way you will feel as though you're very close, but you're in different places. I hope that helps. The second mail is a story of two people who are of different faiths, a Muslim and a Christian. And usually what I would like to refer to is the fact that aside from tolerance, there is the love which basically supersedes every single thing, right? The fact that you're attracted to one another in the first place means that you've surmounted a particular ordeal, which means that there is absolutely no barrier in terms of you wanting to connect to one another. Now, I'm going to take a cue from a particular relationship of a woman who is a Christian, right, and got married to a man who is a Muslim. They had 3 children, 3 grown adults. And I didn't get to know about these things until the woman passed, and it was our wake-up, and we had to be there. And then the man started this story about how during the fast, the woman would prepare meals the Muslim would take, usually like in the early hours of the morning, right, before the fast will commence. And it was quite interesting and they lived together for over 25 years because, of course, the children are quite grown. What I learned from that was the fact that the aspect of their love, as a matter of fact, most of the children will go to church, which is the woman's faith. And the man was quite liberal to say, these guys can actually choose whatever faith they would like to belong to. One of the things that I underscore is the fact that in both religions, so to speak, there is always the concept of prayers, right? Which means that at some point, you both will have to pray to God as to surmounting whatever challenge that you have. The dynamics of your relationship will continue to play out for a long period of time. because there will be oppositions from different space and all of that. So how then do you, and some of these conversations must be held right before you get married. How do you intend to raise the children? Because when you have children, now those are flashpoints in the point of the relationship. How do you intend to treat the times that she or he has to go to their places of prayer and all of those dynamics? But one of the things we found out is that love actually transcends every single barrier as far as life is concerned. So you can make things work, but it's important that conversations have to be held. Now, if it becomes a major flashpoint, then you might have to reconsider, because if both parties have strong positions on their space in terms of, I want to be this and I want to be that, I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to take that, then it might be a major challenge that you really want to consider. But if both parties would allow love rule and reign, then you might actually make it work for each other. I hope that helps. The next mail is from a man from Houston, Texas. After 15 years of marriage, my wife and I are going through a divorce. We have 3 children who are taking it hard. How can I help them cope with the situation while dealing with my own emotional turmoil? Divorce is never an easy one. I don't think any divorce of any kind, let alone 15 years with 3 children, it would always be a major cause of concern. But one of the things we've realized over a long period of time in terms of this kind of situations, because 15 years can never be bought anywhere, aside from the woman, aside from yourself, even with the children in themselves, it's going to take a long time. And one of the things we typically will say to people is this: you've got to take one day at a time. Now, take the decisions that you need to take today. These are, let me use the word, emergency decisions. Take those ones today and then keep living one day at a time. Again, one of the things that helps in the process of divorce is the fact that you've got to engage majorly in your faith, whatever it is that you've believed in, all right, to help you cope through this mechanism. It also would help to also see a therapist, because there is an assumption that the children understand what it is that you want, or they understand the process of what's going on. They've been together with both parents for a long period of time. It's always never easy when you put the children in the mix of this thing. So talking through this conversation is important. How they feel is important. Making them understand that they are not exclusive from what the entire world is all about. And then taking into consideration every of their conversation. Now, even for yourself, you also might have to see a therapist. Now, the reason for you seeing a therapist is such that they can walk you through your own emotions, help you process what it is that you're feeling. Now, it's also important that you don't talk to people who are within the bounds of this relationship. So let's say, for instance, your parents, Ronald's parents, for instance, or your wife's parents are involved in all of these things. Try as much as possible to avoid them, because there are usually biases in those kind of conversations. Ensure you talk to a neutral person. Ensure your children also talk to neutral people, right, who they are a lot more comfortable with. Take into cognizance one of the things they are saying, or the things that they are saying, how they feel about it. Work through this process together with them. Now, because it's important, children might take decisions that are quite drastic in processes of divorce. One of them might be that some of them might say they would never ever get married again by reason of what they've seen their parents go through. So helping them walk through those things are extremely important. Now, you've got to give yourself a lot of patience and a lot of, let me use the word, forgiveness, because, typically people tend to blame themselves for the parts they played in those kind of situations. So show yourself some mercy, show your children, give them some slack or cut them some slack, such that they can walk through this process. 15 years also, sometimes it takes a number of years for some people to walk through those things. And they are usually like residues of emotions, residues of resentment, residue of bitterness. And one of the things that helps in those processes of helping remove every ounce of bitterness is the place of prayer. So you can take it to the place of prayer. and ensure that those things are essentially taken away. In fact, sometimes one party might move on faster than the other person, and the bitterness or the hurt wakes up again. So it's important that you go through these things, this emotion, and deal them bit by bit. Be truthful to yourself, which means that I can tell you honestly, this is exactly how I feel. I might have put a lot into this relationship, and I don't think it should have ended. But the truth about the matter is, don't deny the fact that what has come to an end has come to an end. Move on from it in the place of prayer. Ensure you talk to people. Ensure you also have conversations consistently about how you felt. What is your own position? Because in the process of divorce, it's easier for you to push the blame on somebody else and say, no, I didn't cause this thing. This is not my problem and all of that. Own up to your own part of the entire situation. If you don't, then you have the likelihood of repeating the same thing if you intend to get married again. So deal the entire conversation. Now you can see that it's a whole stretch. It starts from here, bringing your children into the frame, all right, into the frame, and ensure that they are going through the process of forgiveness. They have to forgive you. They probably have to forgive your wife. You know, all of that process one day at a time. And then it might take a whole lot of time for them to, or everybody else to, walk through the entire thing. And that's all we have on this particular episode. Join me again on the next episode as we take some other questions on the mailbox. Thank you. God bless you. Peace.